Welcome to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. It's a weekly deep dive into the biggest stories and topics surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm Allie, Clifton, joined by our Laker insider, Mike Bresnahan, and Lakers reporter, Mike Trudell. Hi, guys.
Hi, Allie. Haven't seen you in like 4 hours.
We should probably specify.
Yeah.
For some people that don't know.
Well, a little bit long. Yeah, the flight's getting off of the plane from Utah. It was, I guess, a few more hours than that, but it seems like it was only a couple hours ago.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Brez, how you doing?
I'm great. I was here in our comfy studio last night watching you both in Salt Lake City. I have no excuse to be tired. I'm ready to carry the podcast. But, Mike, first of all, we got to start with Allie, right? I mean, she was historic last night. She's all over national sports media today. She got to sit in the Stu chair last night and just crushed it, helping Billy Mack call the game in Utah last night. Could not be more proud of you. And LeBron retweeted you, or actually tweeted about you last night, I should say, and just so many accolades. It's what a great job by you. Really proud of you.
Thank you. It was certainly. We'll dive into it, but I wasn't the only one. Mike Trudell is doing 97 jobs.
No.
Mike's doing radio.
This sounds like this. Let's just talk about you for a while.
No.
Don't worry about me.
Okay. Well, thank you. Obviously, you guys know. I'm very uncomfortable in this moment right now.
That's why I wanted to.
It truly was. It was such an honor. As you guys know, I mean, Stu's the legend. Stu's the guy. So to even be called and asked to, obviously, Big Game did it the night before. I joked just saying, obviously, big shoes to fill with Stu in general. And then I got a follow-up Big Game and, you know, his wonderfulness that he always brings day in and day out. But to have the opportunity, I seriously was beside myself. Very, very thankful to the Lakers and obviously Spectrum, but also Billy Mack. Like, I absolutely wonderful human being. Trudell, you've been around him forever. But seriously, in that space to allow me to be so comfortable and feel confident throughout the course of a game. Yes, I've called games before, not of this magnitude by any means. And to be able to just feel myself and be able to deliver alongside of him, it was special. It was awesome. You guys, the support, everything. Trudell, you see me. I'm always coming up to you asking for different things, and you're just so helpful and kind, and I appreciate it. I mean, it was wonderful.
That was nice.
Can we move on?
we can move on. Yes, I get that you don't want to probably linger on that for too long. So please, you can.
Yeah, but no, like for you too, like in Big Game, like to fill in during this time for Stu. And as Billy Mack keeps saying, he's going to be great and he's going to be fine, just taking care of a health procedure. Mm-hmm. So for those listening, obviously, and I know they were chiming in too,
Stu's good.
Stu's good. Yep. He's going to be back. But it's just been like a whirlwind of a couple of days. I think that's like, too, for me, when you look back at the team and the family that we have here, to call these games and to make it go on as, you know, as seamless as possible. I mean, Trudell, you were doing sideline. You do our pregame show as well, your pregame show, and then the radio responsibilities. You did that back-to-back nights. I was telling Trudell, too, like, this dude has called an NBA game by himself on the radio.
How about that?
You know, and can certainly fill in the chair of the TV side as well. So.
Well, the good news is it's all the same subject. Just have to, put out the information in different mediums, but at least it's all about the Lakers and the NBA, right?
Yeah, and it does. Like, that's the one I was joking. We were doing a LA Times story today. Shout out Dan Wakey for that tweet. That was very kind of him. But they did a little story today, and the guy chatting with me asked if it was going to be hard coming back into the studio and to do the shows today after doing a game last night in a different role and setting. And I was like, no, what's funny is I'm actually going to go in and do a podcast and then our show today. But doing these shows and talking about them all season long, they prepare you for, that kind of moment or maybe a different role. And it certainly helps.
Mike, I excuse me, I sit in front of Allie here in the newsroom, and I know, especially on game nights, like your prep is off the charts. Like it's, you're at your desk. The rest of us are like, playing like wiffle ball in the newsroom, and you actually take it really seriously. So how much extra prep did you put in for a 2.5-hour broadcast?
It's funny. It's obviously since the moment AJ called on Monday morning, I feel like my brain just went there right away. And I reached out to the Jazz. I talked to one of their broadcasters before the game. I reached out to one of their writers just because obviously I don't get to see or pay attention to the Jazz every single day like I do the Lakers. And so I took that perspective to see if I could provide a little bit more throughout the broadcast. And then it's an interesting thing, I think, in our role. And I don't know how you go about it. But calling the WNBA and, sitting in the analyst chair there, the prep for that is so much different than here in studio. And I'm also trying to find the balance as well between what I'm supposed to do per se and what I want to be secure in versus what I actually will be doing on the broadcast. So I had my boards complete, numbers and everything, but Billy Mack also has all of that, right? And it's my job more so as an analyst in those moments to tell why it happened versus what happened. So I do a ton of preparation, and I could show you my boards. It's crazy the amount of information, but at the end of the day, you use like 10% of it, which is wild. Because you're like, we got in at 4 a.m. in Utah, and I was up at 7:30 freaking out. And I'm a sleeper. I sleep 14 to 16 hours a night. I need that.
That's impressive.
And I was running on fumes in a sense, but I was super excited. But yeah, the preparation, it's very different. But it's interesting to see how much you actually use.
That's ironic because we were talking about our sleep habits the other day, and I'm kind of on the opposite end of that, so I don't sleep as much. But I did sleep later that game.
You did?
Well, yeah. So I probably slept until we got in at 4. I think I probably fell asleep around 5, and I woke up to FaceTime the kids before they went to school, but then went back to sleep for like 2 hours. So that might have been the only time that I've gotten more sleep than you in like the last year.
100%.
Before the game, for sure.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So it is a lot of prep. It's just different prep.
Were you tempted to mention the Jack in the Box egg rolls?
Okay. Yes. From the night before with big game.
This is the problem.
James mentioned it a couple times.
Because you were on the radio.
I've heard every Spectrum broadcast ever, except for the last 2, and then a couple other times where I've filled in for Michael or John. So I didn't get to hear you, nor did I get to hear James. And so but I heard the egg roll was the thing.
It was a big deal.
So
it was a big talking point for James.
Here. So what happened?
So big game. You listened.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it happened until, I think he mentioned it once in the beginning, but then I only watched the first half and then I went out because I was a reporter that night. So what did he elaborated on it, I guess?
Yeah, I think it came up again. I mean, he was great. I mean, he was hilarious. He was talking about everything from the temperature in the conference room where we watch the games. It's a little chilly in there to the
Giving
egg
away
rolls.
all the secrets.
Yeah, exactly. And, he was talking about the egg rolls at Jack in the Box and how, don't sleep on the egg rolls. Yeah, you get your free tacos and everything when the Lakers win and hold the opponent under 111.
Yeah,
but he was diving on the egg rolls. He went pretty deep on the egg rolls.
Trudell, when I opened up Twitter, getting on the plane to go to Utah, he was trending, and I was like, "Oh, let's see what this is all about."
What did he say?
It was egg rolls.
Yeah.
It was about the egg rolls and how much
Okay.
they obviously loved them,
Hashtag
of
egg
course.
rolls.
It was awesome.
Spectacular.
What a legend.
Yeah, but no, it was awesome. It's great. Super, super excited. Super happy about it. It was fun. So.
Well, thank you both for slumming with me. I mean, you've been carrying the Laker broadcast airwaves the last couple games.
It is funny. I asked Trudell if he could go back and listen and give me any feedback.
It's like you don't
normally
need
he would hear because you'd be on, but
it was a fun game. I'll say that.
Oh, let's dive in. Yes,
Yeah.
Let's go there. Yeah, how fun the game in Utah was.
Well, I don't follow the gambling lines too often, Brez, but somebody said in the pregame show that Utah was a 6-point favorite, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
Utah has not been playing well. Danny Ainge basically told the players, I don't believe in you. We're getting rid of some core pieces. Kelly Olynyk gets moved out. Simone Fontecchio, who we saw against Detroit on, that would have been Monday night, I guess. Yeah, the front end of the back-to-back. And I think that not just from a talent standpoint, but Utah was in this space where they clearly were just not going to be allowed to try and win as many games as they can because they're thinking about the future. And by the way, I get it. If I were in Danny Ainge's seat, I may have done the same thing. But so I'm thinking, meanwhile, here's the Lakers who are feeling pretty good about themselves. Get it. LeBron wasn't there. But with Utah reeling in that way and the Lakers wanting desperately to build on the momentum that they had gotten starting in that Boston game, I just thought that was a game where take out the fact that the team got in the night before, go in and win this game with the mentality of it means more to you than it does to them. They're going to play hard. They're going to bring energy. They're not going to go away. But the way that they were playing has been essentially taken away because they had to start Walker Kessler, who had been coming off the bench. They had all this great spacing with their first unit, and then the second unit came in and was big, and Clarkson had a screen roll partner. All of these factors for Utah, and that went out the window, and they got blasted by Golden State the previous game. They lost at Phoenix the game before that. So I just thought the Lakers have to come in with an attack mentality, and they did. Then they let their foot off the gas briefly, but thanks to Anthony Davis, to Rui Hachimura, and to D'Angelo Russell specifically, they were able to win, and convincingly so. So to get Brez to finish the Vegas point, I think they're thinking, back-to-back, LeBron's not playing.
Yep.
People are going to assume that the Lakers are just going to have this as a schedule loss. And I was like, no. The circumstances actually, I think, can favor the Lakers if they embrace it, and they did.
You nailed it. I mean, this is a game that the Lakers, they didn't have to win. I mean, there's still 26 games left in the regular season, but they really wanted to win, to finish on that 6-1 run going into the break. And yeah, it looked a little weird in the second quarter. They gave up 41 points, but that second half, I mean, this team is really starting to gel. Love the Spencer Dinwiddie addition. I mean, he's just fitting in seamlessly. He can do a little bit of everything. You mentioned D'Lo, career high 17 assists. I mean, what hasn't he done over the last month? Starting about a month ago in Utah when he got reinserted into the starting lineup, scored 39 points. No LeBron that night either, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And he's just been either a scorer, distributor. He's been outstanding the last month. I mean, I really hear what Rob Pelinka said. You know, there's not a house. You can't buy a house if it's not for sale. That was his trade deadline comments. But I think they might have found like a good condo, a good townhouse with Spencer Dinwiddie. The price is right, $1.5 million in a league where the average salary is over $12 million. And I just like the way the pieces are all coming together. And hopefully, Mike, they get Cam Reddish back, Max Christie back pretty quickly after the break. They're still sidelined with those sprained ankles. Then we'll find out about further down the road about Gabe Vincent and the big one, Jared Vanderbilt. Although I love Rui in that starting five. He's been great.
I thought the moment was funny last night when we were talking to Austin. How did he put it about Rui finally stepping up his game for assists? Obviously, he had his career high in points, but he hit his career high in assists, passing it once, or one assist.
Yeah, Austin is usually pretty careful, but you can catch him sometimes in saying what he actually thinks.
Yeah.
And he has been dragging Rui for a while this season, kind of behind the scenes about the passing, because Rui is like, he gets the ball, he sees the basket, like that's he is pretty one-dimensional that way. But the way that he fits into what the Lakers are doing, that's fine. So I think like it's true, but it also works in the way that Rui is playing with this group. And to me, we can, if I want to identify one thing that has been most different about this stretch, it's just going away from the smaller lineup that clearly was not working very well and putting Rui Hachimura into it. I think it probably should have been Vanderbilt a couple of weeks before that. And when he comes back, you can make the argument either way. But the bottom line is Prince playing with Reeves and Russell just was not effective enough. It was a little bit too small. And that, I think that had the Lakers gone to that group earlier this season, maybe a few more wins would have been there. But the most important thing is that they have figured it out now. Like that is something that I think that can be cemented now as the Lakers get back from the All-Star break. Would they be in a better position in the standings? Perhaps. But like, how much does that matter? It just kind of depends now. The playoffs are so different with looking at the West in like 1 through 10. And would you be surprised if the Warriors, who are currently the 10, like beat if they got into like to the 8 spot and Minnesota or OKC gets the 1 seed, or even the Clippers? Would anybody be super shocked if Golden State beat that 1 seed? I wouldn't be.
No.
And the talent has just increased to the extent that like the playoffs end up being a little bit more matchup dependent. And while the home court eventually ends up benefiting the teams that are higher, it's not like the Lakers can't make another push if they get into the right spot and they're playing their best basketball.
Yeah, they went 2 rounds last year not having home court.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's not like hockey. Hockey, home ice is a joke. It really doesn't matter because you have fluky bounces, you have hot goalies. Basketball, home court really does matter, but not for the Lakers. I really think it's irrelevant. We saw it last year, Allie.
Do you have a favorite moment so far this season?
Brez?
I think the win in Boston.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. No LeBron, no AD. Talk about a scheduled loss. I think the Vegas odds that night were like 13. Boston favored by 13 or 14. And what happened? The Lakers come out. Austin Reeves is great. D'Lo's good. I mean, everyone just kind of steps up a notch. Is that the game where Vando got hurt? I think it was.
Yeah,
right? In the second quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the one negative for that. But to me, that's the best game of the year. You go into Boston, they'd lost 1 or 2 games on their home court. And the Lakers kind of won going away. It wasn't like they had to go into OT or there was a last-second shot. It was a pretty convincing W, Mike.
Yeah, that was a galvanizing win and probably the best game in terms of what the Lakers could take from it. But my favorite moment would be, what am I obsessed with? What have I've been obsessed with this season? The in-season tournament.
Ah, the
Lakers
IST.
won. They won the in-season
That
tournament.
freaking was this season, huh?
Yeah.
That feels like ages
It's
ago.
like 6 years
That
ago
was
already.
and again, I get it now. We haven't thought about it in a while, and it won't be thought about until they define what the groups are going to be in the offseason, or they draw the groups, I should say. But that, to me, is still something that matters. It's winning something. It's hanging a banner, albeit a smaller one, which it should be, because it's not the same as winning an NBA title. I'm not saying that, but it matters. And as we get further on, and my kids get to be of age with that. Like, I think that how many in-season tournament banners you have is going to be a part of the conversation, just like it is in international soccer. Like, I know how many FA Cups Manchester United has. I know how many Carabao Cups. We don't need to get too deep in the details now on this, but it's something that matters, and the Lakers won it, and that can't be changed. So that'll be the top moment for me.
Yeah, very well said. Because I was actually just thinking of games too. I totally forgot about the in-season tournament.
Yeah, that's
in terms of it being this season, and I was there.
Winning in Boston does not get you a banner, so I think you're calling.
Well,
right?
and guess what? Boston does not have a banner. And Cedric Maxwell was talking smack to Michael Thompson, which happens every time we go into Boston. And in this case, number 1 seed, you guys are bums, you stink. And Michael's flex back was, oh yeah. Well, we have one in-season tournament banner and you don't. And, of course, then, who cares? It's a fake banner. And you get that whole backside. But it's a fact. The Lakers have won something that the Celtics have not.
Period.
Facts.
One of my favorite moments was probably the story you told me about our guy, Michael Thompson, which I will not share on this podcast on this most recent trip. But I can't wait to see him, too.
There are a lot of Michael stories that I can share. This one is not one of them. And I really can't get too much into the details as to why.
Oh, my gosh. Hilarious.
Mike, I'm really enjoying, by the way, your Insta stories when you walk off the plane with Michael Thompson. Could be 2 a.m. LA time. Mm-hmm. Could be whenever you land in whatever city. And it's always like, it's because, you can sense, everyone's kind of like a little glassy-eyed. It's kind of like, all right, we're back home.
Mm-hmm.
We always get him at the perfect time. And he always says just the funniest stuff ever. I mean, it's really priceless. 30 to 60 seconds with
he's a special human, and that content will continue once he gets back. Michael will be back. I will see him. Okay, so today's Thursday. That means we will leave on Wednesday for San Francisco. Yes.
Yes.
You should really get that sponsored.
Are one of you guys going? Do you know?
Negative.
No, I don't think so.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't think so.
Yeah. We'll see what Michael's been up to over the All-Star break.
Yeah.
I can laugh at this, but the one time, and then I have one more question. We'll go to break. But the one time that he got caught to be screened and he had all of his bags, and I can laugh because I get screened every time.
Yeah, you get pinched?
Yeah, because I don't travel enough. So they're like, who is this human being that is never here coming on our aircraft?
This just kind of goes to show you that we as humans will complain about almost anything that we can complain about because we used to all get screened. Everybody that got onto the plane, every single person had to. Then over in recent years, they've shifted it to, I don't know, what is it, 25% maybe, something like that, of people get screened. And when you get called out into that group, you just can't help but feel like, ugh, even though it takes maybe 30 seconds to go through it. And relative to normal human travel, right, which I may do with my kids in a couple of days, but it's like it's part of us. If somebody gets to do something that you didn't, you just can't help but have that initial feeling of like being dragged a little. And in the moment you're talking about when Michael got screened, because I won't share his secret as to what happens as to how he avoids getting screened sometimes. But he literally did have 6 bags on the Grammy trip, and he had to, he's got like 2 on this arm and 2 on this arm, and then like another one that's like he has to pick up and put on the other bag. It's a disaster.
He looks like me when I'm trying to take. When I'm trying to take my groceries in one load.
It's more that he doesn't want to have to wait for the truck to come to the hotel once we get there.
So smart.
Like the rest of us, and so he just carries all of his stuff. And I asked him, well, can I get you like a bigger bag?
Yeah.
So that you could put these 4 bags
with wheels
within
on
a larger context of, but it's like he does things his own way, and that's why he's special.
And this is why you two make such a good combo when you do your Insta hits. Yeah.
By the way, if you fly JSX, it's as if you're going on a Lakers trip when traveling and making decisions for your children. And
you've really been pushing this on
they,
the Allie.
They have no idea. Maybe they should pay me to do so. Having said that, they do not. When you were talking about where are we going for All-Star and we were trying to make it efficient with kiddos, rightfully so.
Well,
yeah.
If there's
Check it out.
If there's a sponsorship in it for me,
yeah,
that would be extra helpful. So thank you for bringing it up.
At least, right?
Are you guys going anywhere for All-Star? Doing anything fun? Getting away?
I was going to go to Paso Robles for a little wine tasting, but I think I'm gonna lay low a little bit. It's supposed to rain 3 days in a row, starting Saturday or Sunday.
Here too?
Yeah.
Or up there only?
Yeah, both. So.
And we're down there. Where's Paso? Up, down, over.
Yeah, it was going to be like zip lining and just outdoor wine tasting, and it sounds terrible in the rain. So
that's an interesting combo.
Yeah,
zip lining and wine tasting.
Yeah, you don't do it simultaneously.
Okay,
that would be fascinating. Maybe Michael Thompson and you should try that.
Slash really fun.
I don't know about getting him up in a zip line.
That'd be something.
Good luck.
Although he does have a new hip, so
Oh,
that could be helpful.
the recipient of a brand new hit.
I wish that I think my wife wishes that I had a more direct answer for you, Allie, as to what we're doing and where we're going. It's been, there's been a part of me that's just wanted to get through these games, in order to really think about this, and then kind of like today's show, and then really understanding the kids' schedule. With right now they're in soccer, basketball, and baseball. All the seasons are coalescing, and then on top of that with school, and then the little one, his school. I'm already getting too deep into this, but basically, there's this thing called Ski Week out in this area.
Oh, yeah.
And
indigenous to South Bay.
Yeah, it's very exactly. It's very. Let's not get too deep into it. Bress can explain it to you as one of the mayors elected for the South Bay. But then Riggs goes to school to preschool in Palos Verdes where they don't have that. So they actually have their school schedule isn't exactly lined up. I'm just making excuses. The bottom line is I need to figure out somewhere that is like different enough, but also not too chaotic and not too far away during this kind of short span that we have to go somewhere. And I have to do that basically by today or tomorrow. So if you have any ideas, feel free to let me know.
How about taking the kids to Vegas? Teach them how to pull the slot
You know what?
machine.
Sounds like a great idea.
First of all, that actually was my idea. I have a friend that lives there from college who has 2 kids, and Vegas is more friendly to kids than you might believe. I have not been able to persuade my wife of this fact. And so Vegas, that is what it's like. We could stay at.
You could drive there.
We could stay at one of the hotels that has no smoking.
Yeah.
Like there's stuff to do. It's a short drive. That's what I have been pushing.
Hop on the JSX.
Maybe Allie could text my wife and see and try to persuade her.
Give me your number. Got it.
Allie with her new massive Q rating could make things happen.
What's that mean?
Q rating, popularity index via the media. Yeah.
Hardly. Lakeshow fans, remember, you can be a part of the show each week. Feel free to send us your questions and comments. We'd love to hear from you. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, it's around a bucket of brick. Welcome back to Lakeshow Podcast presented by Jack in the Box. If you're enjoying the show, you can check out more original podcasts from our Spectrum News journalists on the Spectrum News app. Just head to the podcast section to listen to the latest episodes. You can download the Spectrum News app on the App Store or Google Play. Time for Around a Bucket or Brick presented by Jack in the Box with the best egg rolls around.
There you go.
We begin with number one, Bucket or Brick. Rui is the Lakers' biggest X factor this season.
Go ahead, Mike.
Ooh, biggest X factor, Rui Hachimura. I like the framing of this, Allie, because I could probably make an argument on either side. I don't know if that's going to be the best podcasting, but I keep delaying, though. So I'm going to go bucket. The emergence of Rui as a starter, or at least the push to make him a starter, is the biggest thing that the Lakers had to do. And it didn't necessarily have to be Rui. It could have been Rui or Vanderbilt. But the point is, LeBron and AD need positional size, strength, and athleticism next to them. They don't just need shooting and spacing. This is not 2016 Cleveland or Miami before that, where LeBron on his own could both cover every position defensively and break down every defender and get to the rim and then just spray it out to shooters. This is a LeBron to get through the regular season especially that needs some more of that size and athleticism. So Rui representing that and the Lakers winning a lot since they actually made that move, I do think is a key X factor. So there you go. It's a bucket.
That's actually
I'm going to break it. I'm going to go with D'Lo. And here's why. He's been great lately, but he's had 3 totally different seasons up to this point. First month and a half, 2 months, he was solid, good. And then December, he fell down hard for like 3 weeks, lost his starting job, couldn't hit anything. And then in the last month, he's been outstanding again. So I think as long as we avoid December D'Lo, I think the Lakers are in a really good spot. But you got to make sure that happens. And he's done the work. I mean, whenever the 3 of us walking after practice, we get to see like the last, guys shooting free throws and stuff like that. Not that they practice a lot, but I always notice D'Lo staying later than almost everybody, working on his shot, whether it's behind the arc or working on his stuff close to the basket. The guys always hold the big plastic bats to kind of try to simulate some defense. I give him a lot of credit, and I think he really is the X factor, especially if he keeps playing this well.
All right. I like both of those answers. I actually had D'Lo as the X factor to start the season. That's who I thought would be.
Yeah, me too, I think, yeah.
If you haven't heard it, it was reported this week that before the trade deadline, Draymond Green texted Rich Paul about LeBron coming to the Warriors, Rich Paul being LeBron's agent. He was quickly denied. Bucket or brick, Draymond Green trying to get the Warriors to trade for LeBron James is a non-story.
I mean, I'll brick it just because it's clearly a story. I don't think that there was a great chance that it was going to happen. And therefore that would be sort of like the non-story part of it, but it's intriguing enough for us, I think, fairly to be able to talk about. So that's why I didn't go bucket. But in terms of like LeBron and where he's going to end his career, I have always been of the opinion since he came to the Lakers that he came to the Lakers for a reason. And the Lakers have, for the most part, given him or built rosters that he can win with. And even if it hasn't been perfect, and the exception kind of would have been the Russell Westbrook situation, and obviously that didn't work out great on the court, but they were able to trade their way out of that in order to make a run last year and still have a chance, I think, to do some damage this year. And if LeBron were to go somewhere else after this, I don't know. To me, there's just so much more downside than upside. Who's to say what's going to happen there? But Draymond having some interest is not surprising, and I think is worthy of discussing.
Yeah, it's a story. Maybe more of a headline than an actual story because you read about it and you realize it died pretty quickly. At the senior level of the Lakers, reportedly Jeannie Buss said, no, thank you. This is not going to happen. When she was contacted reportedly by one of the owners of the Warriors. So it's a headline. So I guess it makes it a story, but it's really hard during this time of year. All the trade rumors. When I was at the LA Times, it's very hard to filter through what should be written about, what should not. I guess that should be written about, but it was nowhere near happening. So you never want to mislead the reader or the viewer. It's interesting. That's about all I'll give it.
It's 2024. It was fun.
Yeah.
And that's why we heard about it after, as opposed to hearing that this might be happening. Like,
exactly.
It wasn't happening.
Yeah. Bucket or brick? You'd rather have Anthony Davis anchoring your defense over Rudy Gobert?
Mike, I know you're going to dunk this.
Did you specifically write this question for me? Did you want to rant on this?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Take it away, Mike.
I've done this before, so I'll try to do an abbreviated version of this. But Rudy Gobert is an excellent defensive player. He has won 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. Rudy Gobert is also excellent at pushing the agenda of his being a defensive player. And Anthony Davis doesn't care about all that. So, I think watching a lot of these games and certainly watching them head-to-head, and I watch the Timberwolves a lot. People know that I'm from Minnesota. I still know a lot of people there. Anthony Davis is just a better defensive player than Rudy Gobert and, by the way, everybody else in the NBA. And don't just take my word for it. Steve Kerr said so after the Lakers beat the Warriors in round 2 of the playoffs. Taylor Jenkins said so, the head coach of the Grizzlies, after the Lakers beat the Grizzlies, and said so often throughout those series. What is the top of your scouting report, Coach? I would ask these questions. Anthony Davis. How are we going to score when Anthony Davis is on the court? Because if you look at his metrics, and I haven't done it in about a month and a half since the Lakers played the Wolves. I will do so again when the Lakers play the Wolves coming up. They were very similar in terms of their percentages defended at the rim, in terms of what the opponent shooting percentage was when AD was the primary defender and Gobert. So about even there, both excellent. Where AD has the big advantage is because he's also great on the perimeter. Now, Gobert's better than people think out there. It wasn't like in Utah, he used to get dragged because the Clippers went small and people blame Gobert, whereas really it was the rest of his Utah teammates. But AD can switch onto any guard and any forward, any wing, and he's just more versatile than anybody there. So you can play him in a drop, you can play him blitzing, you can do anything that you want defensively. He is better, and he's proved it in the postseason, where Gobert has not. So to me, this has been a not real argument because AD hasn't necessarily pushed for it. He's been better for a lot of years. Some of the metrics will favor Gobert because he's got Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels on the perimeter. That AD helps. For the most part has played with D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves and Taurean Prince as the 1, 2, 3. And so his individual net rating, defensive rating numbers are lower, but he's the better defensive player. So I could go on for a while. I will rest my case there.
Yeah, no, it's an absolute dunk. I mean, Mike, I don't know if you heard Guido and I talking about this on the pregame show yesterday, but we looked up the latest odds for defensive player of the year.
Oh, I saw this full screen. People were not happy about it.
Yeah, AD is 7th in the odds right now. You can't even get mad at anybody because that's what the betting public is basically saying. Gobert's first by a landslide. He's minus 650. And then, there's a couple other guys. Jarrett Allen is second at plus 500. It's not even close. Gobert is going to win this award, according to the betting public. Derek White is in 6th. He's a spot ahead of AD. Wembanyama is in 5th. His team has won 11 games. So yeah, I mean, just giving you more fuel for your fire. But AD currently 7th, according to BetMGM.com, and that's the odds reflecting what people are betting.
And what the last thing that's frustrating about all that is that of all of those players that you just listed, AD is a much better offensive player, and therefore carries a much larger burden, and is still able to dominate games defensively while doing what he's doing offensively this year. And the only bigs that have been as good as him, and some a little bit better, would be Jokic and Embiid offensively. You could maybe throw Sabonis in. I think Sabonis gets some empty stats, but Sabonis gets some numbers, but he's not as good as AD either. So that's the part of this that it just drives you even more mad if you watch AD every night, is that he does all this defensively while carrying a bigger burden on offense. It's kind of silly, the lack of recognition that he gets.
Yeah, fair.
Agreed.
That's a great word. Lakers 6-1 in February. They have 2 back-to-backs in 5 games to close out the month. Bucket or brick, the Lakers close out this month with at least 3 wins.
Yeah, I'm going to bucket this. I feel like the swing game for that is actually the first game right after the break at Golden State. Like you have to win that game. You have to keep the Warriors below you comfortably in the standings. And there's like a Wizards game in there. I think you got the Clippers in there. That's tough.
So, Brez, it's at Warriors, Spurs on a back-to-back, at Phoenix with a day off before, and then Clippers, Wizards back-to-back.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, San Antonio is kind of a dead team, and AD. I always love when AD has revenge games. He might hear about Wemby's great defense going into that game. Feel free, Mike, if you want to ask him that question at some point. If you're out there with him, and we're not. I always like when AD goes up against like a Jaren Jackson Jr. or a Gobert. I feel like even a Giannis last season. Embiid.
Yep.
I feel like he always likes to kind of level up even more against guys like that. And not that Wemby is close to any of the guys we mentioned really yet. He will be.
Oh, he's coming fast, man.
He's coming fast. Oof. Yeah, no doubt. But I think that's a easy W for the Lakers.
I like the way that you laid it out, though, Brez, with AD, because he is not motivated by the things that I was just complaining about, which is Defensive Player of the Year, All NBA First Team, like those types of things. But he does like to prove to himself that he is better than guys, and I've asked him about that off the record, so I won't say what he has said in response, but like maybe that's a way that he is driven more. Like, I want to know that I'm better than you. And I feel that way in my own life when I'm doing something that somebody else is, no matter what it is. So like, I can relate to that. I don't have the talent that Anthony Davis does in this context, but like, I like to know that I can do something better, even if it's a stupid game. But it's a way of kind of self-motivating. And I think he's motivated like that more so than the way that we're talking about him.
Were you sizing up the Jazz sideline reporter last night? Like, I can do this.
Honestly,
not even know who it is, but
well, every sideline reporter, yes, is the answer. And I think I like being that's something that I get out of bed and I think about. Not do I sound like a psycho? I'm not like literally trying to hit everything in the world, but I do like the chase like that. I do like the competition.
You're in Charlotte spilling soda on their sideline reporter.
Well, hey, no one's playing dirty here, okay?
Okay, says the man when I came into the media room last night to go catch the flight so that all 3 buses wouldn't leave the one human being that needs to be on the bus to go to the airplane because I never travel. So it's like, oh, we're going to wait for this girl. She never travels with us and we have to wait on her. Can't find my tennis shoes.
Oh, no.
Can't find them.
What?
Hold on.
Had no idea where they were.
In fairness to me, I knew that you would freak out because you had your heels on and had been walking for a long time, and your shoes were right next to my bag. And so I put them under the seat for literally 3 seconds. And then I showed you the shoes. So I could have played that out for a much longer time. And I even felt guilty about that. Do you want me to answer the question, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically,
so
that Mike
3, I think, is the right number. It is a kind of a tricky stretch, just in the 2 back-to-backs are built into it, and the 1 game that is not in a back-to-back is a challenging game at Phoenix. We will have to wait and see if Bradley Beal is back by then. They were trying to say that the hamstring wasn't serious, but I don't know, Brez. Sometimes a hamstring that isn't serious is still like 3 weeks.
And it's Bradley Beal.
Who's been missing a ton of time. So that, like, in the Lakers, the Suns beat the Lakers, of course, last time they played. After the Lakers had handled them considerably well, they beat them the first 3 times.
3 times, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So,
all right, this is the trickiest one. We're gonna end on this. It's Girl Scout cookie season. Bucket or brick? Thin Mints are the GOAT Girl Scout cookie.
Ooh, Mike, I'm going to weigh in pretty quickly. I'm a Samoa's guy through and through.
You would be a
Love the
Samoa's guy.
caramel and the chocolate and the little biscuit. Oh, it's just the best. It's my favorite. But I
Wait,
do
biscuit?
whatever it is, like a little wafer taste to it. It's Have you had a Samoa?
Yeah, the chocolate coconut and
Yeah,
they're
coconut.
They're sweeter.
Sweeter.
And I like the sweet in general.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Brez. And I think that there are other cookies that would rival the Thin Mint as well. The Thin Mint's they have the best PR team. They have the best branding. Yeah, for whatever
Sorry,
reason, they've stuck out the most.
you guys ever put them in the freezer?
I would say they're
That's
not
yeah.
the greatest. Well, if you have to put it in the freezer to get something else out of it, that might tell you all you need to know.
Sounds like you would bucket this, Allie.
This is
Sounds like
not
you're a
my
little-
lane
you're-
to be in on a podcast
You're a little
because
down
the
on
things I
Mike and
could
me.
say to that comment right there.
You know what? You had whatever you brought to the meeting room that we had for Kobe's statue ceremony are better than Thin Mints as
Costco.
well.
Shout out.
The Reese's,
Yep.
Reese's Pieces.
Animal crackers.
Yeah, whatever, animal crackers.
Yeah.
Allie, I
better
was
than
at
Thin
Costco
Mint.
2 nights ago. I couldn't find them. 3 nights ago.
Probably because we probably sold them all out.
Well, this is great that we're going to get
We got 'em
sponsors
all.
from
Devastating.
Costco and
And
the
JSX.
airline that you've been pumping and pushing.
And Jack in the Box. Of
Yeah.
course.
We are so
Good
close to
Aprils.
the All-Star break, guys. One more show.
Yeah.
So we got to go.
Let's do it.
Thanks to you for listening to the Lake Show podcast, presented by Jack in the Box. If you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast app. We want to hear from you. Send us your questions. Hit us up on X at Relay Clifton, at Mike_Bresnahan, and at Lakers Reporter Mike Trudell. Thanks again. See you next week.
Bye, everyone.